Hello and welcome back to another Saber review video. Today we will be looking at the Imperial Workshop Dauntless Saberstaff, a Xenopixel Saberstaff priced at $375 US. If you want to see the unboxing video for the Saber, please make your way over to TikTok. Now, as you guys already know, I am an affiliate with Imperial Workshop with a discount code that will give you $5 off any Saber order. However, this doesn't mean my opinions will be embellished. It is my role to be as objective as possible while reviewing this Saber. I don't want to shy away from any negative views I hold for any Saber or Saber company. It's the best way for helping companies receive much needed constructive criticism. It's also helpful to reach out to Star Wars fans and try not to sway their decision, but to help better inform and guide them. So let's get into it. The Saber comes with two USB-C chargers, two 36-inch NeoPixel blades, a micro SD card reader, a manual, 33 plus pre-installed fonts, and as always, extra retention screws and Allen wrenches. The Saber itself is 20 inches long when both hilts are together, and 1.25 inches in diameter, having a nice black gunmetal texture with windowed emitters and long ridges for grips. Both the windows and the grips are sanded down thoroughly to prevent injury. There is nothing along the hilt except activation switches, recharge ports, and retention screws. Most of these are flush with the hilt, which is perfect for a Saberstaff. Too many fancy bells and whistles can seriously impact how well you can use a Saber. Each hilt has its own recharge port so you can charge them simultaneously. They roughly take 6 hours to charge, and it's recommended that you charge them under 5 volts. So use your computer's USB port if you have one. The pommel has plenty of sound resonance with the help of a connector pommel that has vent holes for sound. This Saber also has in-hilt LEDs on the NeoPixel pins. Inside the emitter, you get almost 2 inches of blade depth, which is honestly impressive and will help secure the blade during dueling. To get access to the chassis, simply remove the emitter, then remove the 2 screws on the back of the hilt. Once you do that, you can then lightly press down on the activation switch and slowly slide the chassis out. From here, you can get access to the soundboard, battery, speaker, NeoPixel pins, and SD card for changing fonts. Imperial Workshop provides a step-by-step on how to change fonts and updating firmware, but you can always look at my tutorial on how to install Xenopixel fonts for Xenopixel Sabers. To put the Saber back together, simply reverse the steps. The Saber is a sleek and simple design with easy chassis access, though there are a few cons. Now, in order to figure out these cons, I used the Saber for a while. This is why it takes forever for these review videos to come out. I simply use the Saber until I find something I don't like when spinning, then make a note of it for the video. This process is important as I make this cons list, to prepare future consumers for what they're buying, and to also give the company important feedback to make possible updates to their product. Con number 1. The blades are way too long for a Saberstaff. Traditional bow staffs are usually the same length as the user, but with 36 blades coming from each emitter, spinning this behemoth is difficult to say the least. Imperial Workshop, please add the ability for customers to choose their own blade size when purchasing Sabers. I don't know how many times I see Saber companies wait till the last minute to add this feature to their website. For reference, I am 6'3" and prefer using blades no longer than 34 inches. I myself hate using blades over 34 inches because they greatly increase the amount of drag when spinning and tend to bend more, which puts more stress on retention screws. Con number 2. There are way more retention screws than necessary. I'm not a huge fan of Sabers having a ring of retention screw holes around the emitter. The idea is the more the better, right? Au contraire, as all these retention screws have a tendency to slowly loosen as you spin the Saber. The retention screws on one side impede the other. Just be prepared to spin with an Allen wrench on hand to retie these screws. Con number 3. There is only one pommel for the entire Saber. Now this might not be a huge thing, and a little bit nitpicky on my part, but the Saber can separate into 2 Sabers. What if you receive the Saber knowing full well it can separate into 2 and you want to have a Saber duel with a friend? Or you just want to practice the Calcas's Jedi Survivor Jerk High combo I taught you on TikTok. You can't, because only one side of the Dauntless has a protected speaker. I solved this problem myself simply by retrieving the connector pommel that came with my Imperial Workshop Scavenger Xenopixel Saber, and putting it on the other half of the Dauntless. Now, I had a pommel available, but you might not. Luckily, Imperial Workshop sells the pommel separately. But who wants to wait another week for a pommel when they could have received it with a saber that can separate into two sabers? It just makes sense to me that they include a secondary pommel. Con number 4. This con is very tiny, and it's talked about on the Imperial Workshop website, but the Dauntless Saber doesn't perfectly line up. This doesn't bother me per se, but I can't speak for everyone. These are my biggest and the only cons with the Saber. Now, let's get into the functions of the Saber. Alright, yeah, so we'll just go on to power on. So the Saber's already on, so to turn it on, just press the button. And to turn it off, just hold the button a couple more seconds. And to fully put the Saber into power off mode, you just want to hold the button. Sometimes it switches to the next font. Powering down. And you'll get like a little voice memo that says powering down, and then powering on. Turn it back on and power on. To turn on the Saber, of course, you can still use the button, but you have gesture controls because it's a Xenopixel. So you can twist the Saber. To turn on. Twist to turn off. You can stab. In any direction. And it'll turn on for you. To check the battery level, you just want to click the Saber 3 times, and then on the 3rd click, you want to hold, and it will give you the battery percentage. Battery at 80%. Sometimes you can switch to fonts by accident, but, you know, it's whatever. It's fine. So 3 clicks, hold, then release. 1, 2, 3, hold, release. Battery at 80%. So right now, this Saber is at 80%. For each Saber, you have to do this process to check the battery level because they're 2 individual lightsabers. Now, of course, it's a Xenopixel, so we got Smooth Slay. So here's flash on flash. So it tries to localize wherever it's being hit on the blade. So then we got Blaster Deflect. To activate Blaster Deflect, you just want to hit the button once. And it travels along the blade at different places. For LockUp, you want to press and hold the button as you hit something. For drag tip, it's the same thing, but you hit the tip against surface. So just hit the floor and hit the button at the same time. There we go, drag tip. So, of course, there are different volume settings for the Saber. So to enter the volume menu, you just want to double click and hold the button, and then hit your Saber against your hand or something like that. Volume level 2. And then to go up in the volume, you press it once. Volume level 3. So for the volume menu, I'm not sure if you can go backwards or I'm just not doing it right. You just press the button once to go through the cycle, and it cycles through the menu again. So volume level 7. 7. we go. So for color change, it's the same as any other Xenopixel. You want to point it down, the blade, and you double click and twist at the same time. This would be kind of difficult. So double click and twist.
Color change active.
And as you can see, it cycles through pretty much the full color spectrum, which is very convenient. And then
Color selected.
once you select a color, you don't have to, twist and, double click and twist anymore. You can just hold the button and then it selects the color. So for font change, it's actually pretty simple. To go forward on the font list, you just hold the button quick and release. And to go backwards within the font selection menu, you just double click and hold. And then it goes back to the previous font, and obviously, as you can see, if you change a color for a font, it will stay that color, it won't reset. And if you want to change it back, you just gotta do the color change. So that's pretty much it in terms of features for the Saber. And if you don't already know, there are 33 plus fonts already pre-installed to the Saber. I don't really have to add fonts or take any fonts out because there's plenty of diversity when it comes to fonts on the Saber. And Kylo Ren's is the first on the list. Then we get the Imperial Workshop font.
Whispers of power. The teacher.
Master Yoda from Battlefront 2.
The second.
Second Sister from Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, there are just a lot of fonts to go through in one video, so I think I'm going to take the time and make a new video that goes through all the fonts that are usually pre-installed in every Xenopixel for Imperial Workshop. So I think we're at the part of the video where we're just going to say thank you for watching, and we're going to head over outside when it's nighttime. Right now it's kind of like midday, but yeah, I'm going to show you me spinning it either with a Saberstaff or just separated with the jar pad form. And yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you have a friend that's looking to purchase a Saber, please send this to them. And if you like my videos, please subscribe. That really helps me out. So yeah, I'll see you outside for some Saber spinning.
Color selecting.